Greetings to everyone. The name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Today, Dr. O.J. Jones are with us. Uh, every day, 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, we conduct English Bible study. Today, Dr. O.J. Jones sir will take the class. A study on Romans. Sir, once again, I would like to invite you to our channel for the Bible study of on Romans. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your presence. God bless you. Let's start.
Welcome to all of you who are listening the studies on Romans. We have been studying the book of Romans for the last 4 or 5 weeks. So far, we have studied the introductory portion, and secondly, the subject: the Jews are under the wrath of God. Chapter 1 to 14, 15, we discuss about the introduction. Then 16, 17, we studied the theme of Romans. Then 18 to 32 verses, we studied the Gentiles, the non-Jewish people are under the wrath of God. Then second portion we are studying that the Jews are also under the wrath of God after establishing the character and the works and all the deeds, or what you say, the idolatry and morality of the Gentile. Paul declares that they are without excuse. They are under the wrath of God. And again, Paul is going to establish the fact that the Jewish people who claim to be the chosen people of God, the descendant of Abraham, are also under the wrath of God. They have also no excuse before God, the righteous God. Chapter 2, verse 1 onwards, up to chapter 3, verse 8, we consider, or we are studying, the Jews are also under the wrath of God. Why Paul is saying the Jews, who are especially privileged people, chosen people, how can they be under the wrath of God? Now we are studying that particular allegations or the fact leveled against them by the apostle. First of all, last time we noticed that they are condemned by their own judgment. Chapter 2, verse 1, we studied. And secondly, chapter 2, verse 2 to verse 4. Chapter 2, verse 2 to 4. We have studied, they are judged according to the truth. According to the truth. We noticed, we studied that one. So we are not discussing again. And the third division, Paul is saying from chapter 2, verse 6 onwards, Paul tells that they are condemned according to the works or deeds, works. The third factor. We studied that portion. Now let's read chapter 2, verse 6. Chapter 2, verse 6. Let us just look at the verse. Paul clarify for authenticate the fact that they are without excuse. We find, let's read chapter 2, verse 6.
Who will render to every man according to his deeds.
Okay. Here, Paul says that God is judging the Jewish people according to their works. They are privileged people, no doubt about it. They are chosen people. That is also right. They have been given the laws of God. Therefore, in a way, they are holy people. But Paul says that their works do not go in accordance with by the decision of God or the laws of God. They have a law, but they break it. They don't maintain the law. They are expected to perform the law, but they don't do it. It is not just enough to have a law, but to do it. Very, very important. That is what Paul says here. God will render every man according to his deeds. Not only Jewish people, every man will be judged according to his own works. Paul takes the history of the Jewish people. As you know that the Jews or Israel name is given to Jacob, and all the children of Jacob are called the Israel. And to the time of Moses, they were given the law. The law actually was holy, and it declares the will of God. The character of God is exposed in the law. But the people never fulfilled the law. They did not do according to the declaration of God. Therefore, Paul says that they are without excuse. Verse again we read in chapter 7, verse 7. God will give every man according to what he has done. To those who by persistence in doing good seek glory, honor, and immortality, he will give eternal life. For those who are self-seeking and who reject the truth and follow evil, there will be wrath of God. That is a fact which is applicable for every man. God is looking at every man, whether he performs the law was given to them, according to the law which was given to them. And the Paul says that to those who are persistently doing good works, God will honor them. God will give honor to those people who are continuously performing or doing the will of God. On the other hand, those people who follow evil, they shall be judged according to the evil. That is true for everyone. Why God has given the law? God has given the law so that we may be able to follow the will of God, the nature of God, the character of God that is revealed in the law. But what happened? What did the Jewish people do? They always broke the law of God. they never followed the laws of God in their life. In the history of Israel, we find that they always judge or they were punished because they were not doing the will of God in their life. They rejected God. Therefore, God rejected them also. This is applicable for every man, even Christians also. Of course, God by grace has saved us, and God expects from every Christian to be holy and faithful. But Christians don't do it. As a result of it, what happened? The Christians are also punished. You may ask why Christians are punished. God's grace is always available. God gives grace freely to those who seek it. And by grace, we will be able to be standing before God righteously. But we don't depend upon God. Therefore, Christians also are judged. So here, Christians are not the matter discussed by the apostle. The matter is related to Israelite. Why? Because the subject of Romans is in this particular portion, Paul is going to explain the justification by faith. In order to clarify justification by faith, Paul has to authenticate or substantiate that the Jewish people are under the wrath of God. And secondly, the Israelites or the Jews are also under the wrath of God. So God, according to Paul, is judging Israelite according to the deeds of, or the according to the performance of the law, according to what they have done. And God is righteous. If you do right thing, the same way God will grant right thing or honor and glory. And if you do wrong things, naturally, you will have to reap the consequence of it also. And that is what Paul is verifying here. There will be trouble and distress for every human being who does evil, first for the Jew and then for the Gentiles. So God is not a respecter of person. God is not deliberately judging the Gentiles. And God is not showing any special favoritism to Jewish people also. And if the Jews did right thing, they could expect honor and glory, but they did not do it. And fourthly, we are going to come to the fourth portion of it, verse 12 onwards. We come to the next portion, 12 onwards, 11 also, 11 to 16. God condemned Jewish people without respect of person. That otherwise, God is not a respecter of person. God is not showing any favoritism to Jewish people. So verse 11 to 16, condemned without respect of person. 11 to 16. Now read that portion. Please listen to the words which I read right now. For God does not show favoritism. God does not show favoritism. In other words, God is not favor for the Jewish people. A common man who reads the Bible may think that God is showing favor for the Jewish people. Paul says, no, he has no favoritism. He does not regard Jewish people in a special way. Why? Verse 12 we read, all who sin apart from the law will also perish apart from the law, and all who sin under the law will be judged according to the law. So here Paul brings the fact that there is a law given to them. And according to the law, the people of the world can be divided into two. The first group of people who do not have the law, naturally, the Gentiles. They have no law. The second group of people are the Israelites. And the speciality of these people is that they have been given the law. So the two groups are there. And Paul says that apart from the law will perish, all who sinned apart from the law will perish apart from the law. That means those people, Gentiles, who do not have the law will perish or will have judgment because they have not been given the law. And they will be judged according to the conscience. And you may think, why God judge or punish the Gentile people? Because they have not been given the law. So they are not supposed to be punished. A natural question can be asked. Paul says that they have been given the conscience. And even if they have the law, God will judge according to the conscience. In other words, if we do not have law, there is a law within us. God implanted to every man's heart a law. We can distinguish the right and wrong thing according to our own conscience. Though we do not have the law, and God can take action against the people who have been given the law on account they do not perform it. So two groups are to be judged. Paul says that those who sin without the law will be perished from the law, and all who sin under the law will be judged by the law. That means those who perish without the law are the Gentile people, and those who are perishing having a law, they are the Jewish people. So both this group of people, according to the law, will be judged. So we have no excuse at all. The Jews, though they have been given the law, they have no excuse to show before God because they do not fulfill the law or they do not do the law. Their action is against the law. Again, Paul continues to say that the law who are righteous in God's sight, but it is those who obey it, the law who will be declared righteous. So, on account of the law, God is judging because in it reveal the righteousness of God. Righteousness means right thing. Righteousness means right thing. God takes action against an individual who depends on the law. That means depends upon his righteousness. God esteems always God's righteousness, right action. So God decided to take action against the Jewish people. In other words, the Jewish people are not esteemed to be righteous before God. If they want righteousness or justification, God should show them special grace for them. They have no merit before God. They have no qualification before God. Just because they have the law, they have no merit. That is very important in the fact here. God is not at all respected a person. God never shows any favoritism to the Jewish people. No, God never shows any injustice to the Gentiles also. Both group of people are equally punishable and equally guilty before God. When both this group of people stand before God, God will judge them. God's judgment is based upon God's righteousness. It's based upon God's holiness. We may expect a favoritism from God, but God does not do, because God cannot change his character. God is holy and righteous, and therefore God will take action against everyone, whether he does right thing in the sight of God. The Gentile people they have no excuse before God, because they do not do the action of the law according to their conscience. God has given them conscience. And for continue, there are a law for themselves, even though they do not have the law, which is it seems to be very difficult to understand. That means every man has a law in himself. You know that when we do wrong thing, there is an inner impulse, inner driving force that we should not do it. And who is telling that? It is telling, or the conscience is telling us that we should not do wrong thing. And Paul says that is a law in every man's conscience. Though he has not given a law, he has not been given a law, but the law is operating in his own life. The innate conscience, that is a consciousness. And we cannot deny the fact that we have the conscience. Conscience is given to everyone. And according to the conscience, God, Paul tells us that the law is there within himself. And according to that, a man is judged. They are a law for themselves, even though they do not have the law. Since they show that the requirements of the law are written on their own heart. Paul says, it is written in their own heart. The law is given in every man's heart. God implanted the law in every man's heart. So even, that atheists are there. And they may deny the existence of God. But their own conscience tell them what conscience is telling them. There's a God, and there is a conscience, and that conscience is telling them God is a fact, and we have to know God, though they are not particularly revealed the existence of God, but the conscience is there, which is declaring the existence of God. And also, the law is also there, even in the heart of an atheist. Atheist may publicly tell, oh, I don't believe in God. I have no evidence. But within themselves, there is an impulse within themselves. There is a God. So Paul says, even the Gentile people who deny that there is not a law revealed to them, but there is a law within their own heart, and they are unable to be escaped from the judgment of God. Since they show that the righteousness requirements of the law are written on their heart, their conscience also bearing the witness, and their thoughts now accusing, now even defending them. So the conscience is very powerfully telling them the existence of God and the morality of God and the law of God. For example, it's a common thing to violate what particularly sin like adultery, sin like stealing, sin like lying. All these are sin. Although there is not a law given to us, we know that lying is wrong, stealing is wrong, all these sins are wrong. Who tells us? The conscience tells us. So Paul says conscience is telling every man, even the people who do not have the law, that he is guilty before God. He cannot escape from the judgment of God. And therefore, there is awaiting a judgment for both the Jews and the Gentiles. Both are guilty before God. Paul continues in verse 16, this will take place on the day when God will judge men's secret through Jesus Christ, as my gospel declares. So Paul is explaining the day of judgment. And every man who rejects the salvation prepared by God will have to stand before Christ, who is a judge. And he will expose our conscience, our response towards the conscience. And if we do not take proper action, or in the sense if we reject the ways of God, we cannot escape from the judgment. The judgment day is there. Many people reject the judgment, but Bible tells us very powerfully that there is a judgment. Judgment for all people who reject the gospel. Every man will have to stand before the judgment of Christ. Christ will be sitting on the judgment seat, and all those people who reject the salvation of God will be presented before him. And according to the decision taken by them, they shall be judged. In other words, all those people who renounce the salvation of God, prepare for them, will be judged and sent into eternal fire. It's a great judgment days there. Bible calls it the white throne judgment, which we read in Revelation chapter 20. And on that day, every sinner will be brought before Christ, and nobody will be escaped from that judgment day. Afterwards, there shall not be any opportunity for salvation. So we are going to conclude this portion right now. We shall be discussing continually the fifth point in the coming class. So far, we have studied that his law, chapter 2, verse 1. We studied the condemned every man or Jewish people by his own judgment. Secondly, by the truth of God. Thirdly, by the works of a man or Jewish man. Fourthly, condemned without respect of persons. Without respect of persons. God does not respect anyone. God shows no respect of person, whether holy man or unholy, righteous man, unrighteous man. God is not respected of person. God is not respect of Jewish people. So this portion, God willing, will be discontinued in the coming classes. Romans is a very important book. Therefore, we have to study in detail. That is why I am in fact dragging the studies of the book of Romans, for it is a very, may the Lord bless all of you who listen to the message of book of the book of Romans. May the Lord continue to bless you by studying the book of Romans.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your class. Thank you, everybody, those who are watching our live program. Thank you. We have one another meeting at 10 o'clock, the public live. I invite all of them. Thank you.
Okay, welcome.